masters in order to go in that direction. Now, so this is the machinery, yeah? So we have to see that legal framework, the machinery of Western Balkan countries will start functioning slowly towards the same mechanisms and frameworks as the European Union. So that's the machinery. The other thing which is very important is how to oil this machinery. Oiling the machinery is the money. Yeah. Money will be coming from the private investors if the legal framework will be right, and money will be coming in also and is coming in also from the public sector. Now, European Commission has specific instruments to fund, to oil this machinery in the digital terms. Yeah? So, for example, what we are doing, Western Balkan countries will, through what we call the pre-accession funds, get in from 2021 to 2027, around 9 billion euros. Serbia is getting around 200 million euros per year, more or less. Kosovo, I think, around 60 million. Bosnia, about, so let's forget the details, but these are pre-accession funds which are coming annually in your countries. There are a lot of elements in these pre-accession funds which are targeting digital and green transition. But then, so these are, where the money will go to is defined jointly by Euro countries and European Commission. So the countries prepare the program, and then we work hand in hand in order to fine-tune it, to say, no, put more money there, and so on. So and then we fund these projects. Then on top of this, a lot of European funds are opened for participation of Euro countries in the EU-funded projects. So these are programs like Horizon Europe, Erasmus, and then in addition to that, there is one additional program which is new. Erasmus is very old. Horizon is also very old. Had different names, but it's old. Yeah? But then from 2021, we have a new program. And I would like to actually promote this program with you. This new program, it's not new only for the region, but it's new in European Union. It's called the Digital Europe Program. Digital Europe Program is a program which is financing digital transformation of EU member states. It's around 7.5 billion euros for a 7-year period funding. So it's not funding research and innovation, but it's funding SMEs, companies, different public administration, different stakeholders in digital transformation. Application of artificial intelligence, big data, supercomputing, skills, digital innovation hubs, so a number of different activities. It is a new program, so we have to learn about it. At the same time, what is important is that originally this program was targeting only EU member states, only EU 27. However, we have opened that program for countries which want to be associated to it. And we have started with a number of countries from the region, essentially with all countries in the region. Exception is one, negotiation for association to this Digital Europe program. We already had several rounds of negotiations with Kosovo, with Montenegro, with North Macedonia, with Serbia. So we are on good track. What is important is that there is a big likelihood that we will finish negotiations in next couple of months, which will help you to participate in that program, hopefully as of 1st of January 2023. Now we're in a stage, so there will be, what is important in this program is when you will be associated to this Digital Europe program, you will be treated as if you are working and living in the EU member member state. So you will be on equal pair as if you were in the EU member state. So what I would like you to encourage you right now is there is quite some time before you will hopefully be associated to Digital Euro program, hopefully in the next 3 months. But it's already now right time that you start learning about it. Everything is on internet, so Google Digital Euro program. The key document which you should read is work program for Digital Euro program. Everything is there. Why is work program very important? Because in work program, we spell out all the nitty-gritty about what kind of objectives we want to have, what do we want to achieve, where the money will go to, how the course will be published, when they will be published. All the details are there. So you should start learning about that program right now in order that as soon as the course will be published where you could participate, you could prepare project proposals. And also, second thing is continue networking. I mean, you are already networking right now, you're doing it before. Network with the partners in the region, network with the partners in the European Union member states, and start thinking about the projects which you could prepare. Once again, this is a program not looking at research in innovation, it's working at financing digital transformation of your country as well. So please go for it. I'm chief negotiator for that program so on behalf of the European Commission, so that's why I'm promoting it. But I think it's perfectly suited for challenges which you are facing. And I hope that you will get ready and use the best out of it as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Zoran. This was a really, really nice presentation. We'll go on with this interesting program. Digital Europe definitely is. So we've heard there are lots of programs with billions of euros, I cannot even imagine how much money it is. But how newcomers like Kosovo, who is eligible for a couple of years now to participate in different programs, or will be eligible soon for the Digital Europe, how can SMEs, how can industry, universities from this part of Europe grab the opportunity? So the next question is for Mr. Rubén Carrandi, yes, from EBN. How can, what is the role of intermediate organizations? How can EBN or similar organizations help SMEs or institutions from this part of the world to break the ice and demystify the mighty Brussels, and if you know someone who knows someone to get me these funds, so it's much easier basically. So please.
Thanks, and thanks to the organizer for inviting EBN to be here. It is a real pleasure. EBN stands for European Business and Innovation Center Network, and it is an association and network created in 1984 by the European Commission. Is today a non-for-profit association of business support organizations, around 175 business incubators, business accelerators, science and technology park, regional development agencies, all of them working to support entrepreneurs, startups, SMEs to grow, to scale up, to be born, and an important part of these companies are digital companies. Our members have 4 mission commitments. One is linked to the regional development. Another one is focused on the quality of the services provided to entrepreneurs, to the startups. We are focused as well on promoting the internationalization of the companies, but there's one mission commitment specifically linked to promote access to investment, access to funding for these client companies. So this is why we are here. Bernhard mentioned some minutes ago, well, there's the need for investment, but also the necessity to navigate among the sharks, no? So companies, especially smallest one, entrepreneurs or startups that are beginning journey need support to be connected with investors, but also to be connected with the right investors, to prepare all the documents, all the papers, the business plans, to consolidate their business, and then be able to pitch or to offer the solution to investors. So these intermediaries, business innovation centers, incubators, accelerators, are the ones supporting or making the connection between the investors and those needing the funds. And these organizations are also about something he mentioned, networking, how to create and consolidate collaborations with different actors of the ecosystem, that each actor is providing a specific capacity, specific support. For example, one organization here in Kosovo will be focused on providing this access to investors, while others will complement with the internationalization part, or also with the access to public funding as well. We are speaking about Horizon Europe, we are speaking about the Digital Europe program, and also these business incubators, accelerators, intermediaries have a role in themselves taking part of these initiatives, being partners in a consortium, to then provide services to the companies, to the startups, but also involving startups or small and medium-sized enterprise as beneficiaries, as partners of these projects. And of course, providing them with information on how to apply funding rates, how they can be successful when applying to this. EBM, for example, provides training on how to use European Commission instruments for business support organizations, for regional development agencies, for incubators, etc. This is our role between the oil and the final beneficiaries. No? And we guess that this layer in the middle is very useful to translate. In some cases, they're not easy to understand documents or procedures, and there are lots of organizations with dedicated people working with the beneficiaries, with the companies, to make this connection between the funding, public and private, and the equities.
Thank you very much, Rubén. Last but not least, we have a representative of banks here. So Agron Gashi from Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo. I have a question for you, just to start, to warm up, and then of course we'll come back to you. But how can banks help in accelerating the digital economy? So we have heard now we have funds. Most of these funds, like Horizon, are investing into the R&D, and local companies can do magnificent, let's say, products up to TRL 6, 7 maybe, but then this part is missing. So how to scale up, how to go to the market, and how banks can help, please.
Thank you, Tomi. It's a pleasure being here with this esteemed panel. I will try to answer this question. Can everyone hear me? Okay, excellent. I will try to answer this question in let's say, multi-dimensional way. First, I think that banks can, first and foremost, are major players when it comes to digital economy. They are consumers of technology. The majority of, they consume pretty much all of the digital trends which are happening at the moment. So banks invest heavily in modernization of their systems. They invest in cloud computing, in artificial intelligence. So in this sense, they contribute to the digital economy overall. Second, banks are, as a, let's say, lender or facilitator of the funds which we were mentioning, which my predecessors were mentioning. So banks are able to funnel these funds which are provided by the supranationals, which we call them, directly to the customer, since we already have the relationship and we are able to bridge this, let's call it, gap of what is required in order to get finance from a supranational organization and what really can be provided. So we know the customers and we are able to somehow bridge this. Thirdly, I think banks, and I'm again now answering in another dimension, I think banks can contribute also via incubators and accelerators which they do on their own. So a lot of banks globally, but now even locally, are including Raiffeisen, are trying to develop in-house solutions and trying to incubate potential disruptors within their own. And there's a large outflow of capital to these incubators and accelerators. Of course, not all of them are successful, but learning by doing is something which startups anyway are famous for. What else in terms of banking can support in this digitizing the economy and increasing the spillover effect is what we now call, you probably heard this, most of the audience has heard of the open banking, which is practically banks opening their APIs to potential third parties who then can use the data upon customer consent to provide more insights on their financial history. But next step ahead is banking as a service, which with the same principle, third parties and primarily fintechs and challenger banks can build products in partnership with the banks, and this will again increase the level of investment in those groups. And there are many success stories across the globe, and hopefully there will be also locally to support this.
I have an additional question for you. So, what do you think are the trends now in financial industry? So, what you would suggest, let's say, to startups or to the local industry, where is the bite, where they can really make the difference? Maybe just one sentence from my own experience. We years ago we had two PhD students in my company, both in mathematics, in applied statistics, base analysis on which is the basement for the AI and machine learning systems. So, and they both successfully made a PhD, and we started to prepare their career, After 2 months, they were robbed from banks, major European banks. They offered them insane salary. These girls were 26, 27 years old with zero experience, The salary was extremely high. So we are facing the situation where banks, insurance companies and others are really fighting for clever, let's say, IT top-level staff to put an added value on your data. So this is also a digital one. So please.
Thank you. There's a saying, I don't know who said it, but I like it very much. It says, IT is no longer a part of our business, it is our business. And it is very, very relevant for banks these days. If we go back to the history and to how banks evolved, and this is until recently, most of the banks considered digital innovation. Practically, they were investing in redesigning their legacy systems on a digital level. So this is designed by analogy, and in this case, what banks were known for security, were known for trust, and we're known for the fact that a customer can put the money in and that they can monitor their balances, they can transfer money, and so on and so forth. So practically the majority of the investment of the digital innovation in banking happened in order to redesign this online process by basing it on the analogy of the branch. This is all okay when customers are that's the maximum which you can offer. But with the recent developments in technology, customer experience has become the most important part of the customer journey. And where this gap was seen, it was seen by challenger banks, digital-only banks, and fintechs. And this is now an issue for traditional banks, for most, if not all, of the traditional banks, to have to rethink, reimagine their customer experience, while at the same time having been faced with operational changes. So we have to transform, but at the same time we have to reinvent how we serve our customers. And it is not easy to appeal to new generations coming into the market. Millennials are now the majority of the population, especially in Kosovo, whereas the Generation Z is immediately behind. And according to every survey, Generation Z only wants the mobile-only experience. So they don't really value the personal touch as much. This, I think, will change if we are in an economic environment where you need to put money in and you need to see where you're putting the money when it comes to, that's, in this day and age, especially in this past couple of months, I believe that the human factor will still be relevant. But until now, all of the indications were that people, especially young generations, want to bank without being present in the branch. And in this regard, we see that banks now need to focus on four main areas. First is to design products or moving from a product-centric approach, as we are used to mortgages, credit cards, and for every product you need to go to a separate person, to a customer-centric approach where we are able to design products which are relevant for the customers and not which we want to shop to the customers. We need to increase the omni-channel capabilities in a sense that one customer can choose how he wants to or she wants to interact with the bank. On top of that, we need to be able to provide personalized experiences, so not everyone needs the same offers. And last but not least, we need to listen to the feedback at a scale. So we need to be able to listen to our customers and be able to act and react in a timely manner. And for this, we need technology. And now, answering your question, I think one of the most important and heavily invested focus areas in technology is enterprise artificial intelligence. So banks, not only banks, but now I'm speaking about banks, need to design, train and deploy algorithms which are able to detect fraud, which are able to mitigate risks, and which are able to engage customers with relevant and contextual offers. For this, we need data infrastructure which can power AI to perform these algorithms. And another topic where banks are investing a lot is refactoring current or modernizing core banking systems. Since it's easy to, and this is somehow a curse because banks were early adopters of technology a couple of decades ago, and they invested heavily in monolith solutions which now are too hard to refactor and to redesign, especially for big banks.
kind of infrastructure is lacking in Western Balkans. What do you think it can be improved? Because there are many things still well done here, but there are still missing parts. What do you think? Where is the gap where the region can improve? Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to build on what Zoran has said and what we just heard from the bankers. And I think it is, as you said, the infrastructure, but infrastructure has different elements. I would even say finance infrastructure, but also human infrastructure, the human capital. You need to train the people. I mean, you lost your 2 students. We had a similar guy, a physicist that could solve non-linear Schrödinger equations, and the city of London just swallowed him. And we then have HPC examples where they run financial models, and was a computer glitch, and then caused the stock market crash, and happens. So, and legacy applications that lose a few million because couldn't port it, or manual intervention in the databases. So also sort of the people and data as an infrastructure, open data, how you can sort of, there's so much around open access of the science that we have, and sometimes it shouldn't be all free, but we're talking now bringing solar all over the place, Internet of Things, agile, whatever kind of grid systems. For this, you need people to be trained. And then it's your PhDs. We need to equip the universities. The universities need to be networked. They need to be in a global European context. I mean, we talked about the programs that bring, but then also on the business side, also hardware. I mean, yes, you can virtualize, you can use cloud, but you would need some kind of local hardware infrastructure where you can train the people, and then yes, you can scale up and then do further. So it is us again where we try with actually billions that we have for the Western Balkans that are coming. But sorry, when you already see the big figures in your eyes, this is money that we give to the banks, so that as guarantees, as loan guarantees, as security, so that they can give cheaper loans to the startups, SMEs. So we are trying to de-risk the system so that you can take a bit more risk because we are shouldering it. And that, I think, is sort of where the public intervention can work in sort of lowering the barriers, in helping, if you want to raise university system, I mean, that is the whole business of Horizon Europe, European research area, to integrate you as also European education area, free movement, maybe Kosovo, hopefully, visa liberalization coming anytime soon, so that not having the brain drain, but people going abroad. I just had a discussion with AI Institute in Novi Sad, and he said, no problem, we can do bachelors, we can do masters, but for PhDs, we need to send the people abroad. We don't have the capabilities here. I mean, this is a huge university, so it's not that it's a small shop. So how can we help that without sort of, there are diaspora programs that you get a stipendium, that you can go abroad, and you must work back in your country for 3 years. Montenegro has sort of pioneered this, and when then the people come back, they say, what are we doing now with them? Sort of sending them out was easy, but finding a proper place for these people, and then it's Digital Europe, and then EBN, sort of a context in which they can be implanted and help others to grow. So this is where the infrastructure, even in the broader sense, is there, and then we have GREN and sort of if you want, European science cloud and so on. People just rely on, and also the commercial sector can use this as a reference and get well-trained people, because you cannot buy them on the street. Certain things you need to learn in the right place.
Thank you very much. So, on the other hand, we have lots of opportunity to be part of the strong R&D projects within Horizon Europe, and to gain the know-how, experiences, etc., how to work on the new fields, the new technologies. And then we have Digital Europe, which is more about deploying all these, let's say, new technologies to the SMEs and the other organizations. I think Europe is still a bit you know, it's room for improvement in Europe. How to use our own data, because sometimes we are relying too much on a global data, like I don't know, Google, Booking, or other, let's say, sources, MasterCard sometimes, and you're buying, not you, but different entities are buying this data analysis, and they try to figure out what is next. But we have our own data, and let's treat our own data as a good raw material from which we can get a lot. So what do you think how digital Europe can help these countries in Western Balkans to, let's say, not to do the same mistakes as all Europe made? So now it's an opportunity to make a good, let's say, example how to avoid and how to learn from the old Europe. Old Europe, sorry. I'm not a politician, sorry, my language. Yeah. So the old member states, and how to come out with the new model where open data will be really open, will be APIs will be in place with the regulation, etc. So I think this is a huge opportunity for this part of Europe to join or even overtake some countries in Europe in this field. So please, Zoran, the floor is yours. It's a challenge.
No, thank you very much. I think it's good that we look at these issues, but once again, I think, you know, whenever we look at the Western Balkans, you know, of course there are specific challenges, you know, but at the same time, a lot of challenges are same or very similar compared to a number of EU member states, you know. And we talked earlier about banking narrowly, but financial landscape, yeah? Financing innovations. I mean, banks, the way they function in Kosovo, I don't think there is huge difference compared to the way they function in Austria, in Slovenia. I mean, you know, also if you look at the broader financial sector, if you look detailed reports about financing innovation in the region, a lot of things are very similar compared to a number of EU member states. What you will read in reports is that banks are sitting on huge amounts of money, so the liquidity is huge, but they don't invest. I mean, it's not for Kosovo, it's essentially for a number of EU member states. For the country I know best, the liquidity is about, of the banks, or from the private sector only, not the companies, is about 60% of the total annual GDP. So GDP of Slovenia is about 50 billion. Banks are sitting, I think, on around 30 billion euros, yeah, as we speak. Yeah. So the question is, so there is no need for investment? No, there is a need. And so if you read the reports, why they are not investing, the reason is, and this is also recognized in the analysis and reports of the European Commission, in what we call for EU member states country-specific recommendations, in the reports of other international organizations, is that the capital market is not developed. What does it, I mean, what does it mean? Yeah? It means that if you want to invest in a company to do ICT innovation, new products, new services here or somewhere else, you are afraid to invest. Or you cannot invest because there are simply no intermediaries which will help you to invest. So what will you do? You will invest in stock market in Vienna or in Germany or in London or in Nasdaq. Yeah? So the capital market is not developed. Yeah? It's not specificity of Kosovo or Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's specificity of a number of EU member states as well. So what do we need to do? It's what I talked earlier about the machine. Yeah? Machine needs to be fine-tuned. Yeah? And private sector needs to play a role here. So it means that there is a need for risk capital instruments for investment in companies here in the region. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, we have to look at this broader picture and then at the same time look at how to develop it further. Now, on looking at specific issues, you know, and I think key issue when we look at the Western Balkan countries, but also in other EU member states, is analysis of where we are, what are the facts and realities regarding digital in each country. And for EU, we have this instrument which has been mentioned yesterday, the DAISY index, yeah? Digital Economy and Society Index. And for that index, we analyze in details the facts and reality of digital development in EU member states. Now for Euro countries, we don't do DAISY index, but there are a number of statistical data which has been collected, and through that data you can actually analyze where you stand. Yeah? And I think on the basis of that analysis, you have to say, okay, here we are strong, here we are weak, here, you know, there is huge potential for growth, but we need to do that. So I think it's very important to do this kind of ground analysis of what's happening in each of your countries. And then on the basis of that, make policy decisions about what needs to be done. So I think from that perspective, you can put yourself on the right track towards where you would like to be in a couple of years. You know? The way we see the region is there are huge potential. At the same time, we don't want to use your country as a source of highly qualified people. You know, if all of excellent, I mean, I was listening to excellent speakers coming from the region. You know, from these ladies who were talking yesterday to us about cybersecurity. I mean, these are top specialists. You know, coming from Kosovo, working for Microsoft, whatever. I mean, you say, wow, you know, this is great, but you know, where is the problem there? The problem is that they are not working here. You know, they go for a better life. So I think, you know, when you are confronted with the opportunity to have, you know, high-paying job in the EU or elsewhere and not work in the region, you say, what should we do that excellent people with excellent knowledge would stay and, you know, create business here, have families here, and, you know, help also that the countries would foster, you know. So I think it's a challenge. We as European Commission, we will not be able to tell you all the right answers, you know. You will be. You are best placed to say this needs to be done. So I think in that respect we have to look at this broader picture and see how to find the right solutions.
I have another question for you, Zoran. Many programs are under joint undertaking philosophy. So for you, which you don't know this, like many programs, European Commission gives 50%, and then local government or entities give the rest 50%. So what do you think? I've seen in especially smaller countries that they sometimes are unprepared for this. So they have to have aside 50% for those who will apply, because basically if you have this in budget, you will double this. If you don't have many organizations, especially universities, who don't have other extra money, will not apply. So what is your recommendation to the government of Kosovo, you know, how to prepare when SMEs, industry, and universities will be successful in all these joint undertaking programs?
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much, Tomi, for the question. I think, first of all, we have to recognize that the funding landscape is very complex. Yeah? So there are a lot of different rules, you know, different ways how to, can we combine different funding sources? Are we obliged to combine? Are we allowed to combine? How to do it the right way? Is it 100% financing from the EU money? Is it 50%? Is it co-finance? So, it's very complex landscape. So for me, the basic, the basic answer to your question is, first of all, let's recognize it's complex. And second thing is, let's recognize that you cannot do it alone. Yeah? So you need help. Yeah? That help can come from intermediaries. It can come from already experienced organizations from the EU member states. But don't go in such direction that you will master everything, because you'll not be able to master everything. It's a complex landscape. But look at what is your current capacity, knowledge, expertise, what you can contribute to the overall picture. And then for those issues where you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the capacity, look for the help. We're organizing events. I think we are trying to help you. So there are a number of things in the pipeline where we will help all the countries from the region in order that they will build up the knowledge, make the partnerships, But so let's recognize the landscape is complex, but also let's recognize that you are not left alone. There are intermediaries to help you, there is Commission to help you, so through that we can, make this bridge between what you can do, what you know you can do, and what you need to do in order to be successful.
Thank you very much. The same question to you, Bernhard.
Thank you. Well, there's also a few people in the room whose job it is to solve that problem. So from that point of view, it's good we have the right setup. I was actually upset by your question. You questioned the sort of 50%. Why don't we get 100%? I'm a little bit old, you can see it's a bit gray. When I started in the framework program, 50% funding was the norm. Why should we give you 100%? You need to invest in what you want to invest, should also have a value for you as well. Not that you sort of gamble, you send a 30-page proposal to Brussels and then you hope that it's sort of from heaven, you're lucky, find the evaluators with a lucky idea and then you get it funded. And if you don't get it funded, it wasn't mission critical anyway, so it didn't matter. So it has to be relevant for you. So therefore the joint undertakings with 50% co-financing is a good way to do it. But we have been discussing with the government here on Monday, there's joint undertakings, there's also partnerships, as Zoran said, different language. 49 of them and for different types and whatever. But they are sort of the second pillar for Horizon Europe, with pillars and whatever. It's the biggest one. 38% of that are given to these partnerships. They are like mini programs inside. So we discussed with the Kosovo government which ones of the 49 are relevant for them, and there then they engage. So you are then in a smaller cosmos where maybe the competition is less and also where the money is distributed within that, so you don't compete in that larger context. And sort of what the EBN and the colleagues are doing, we often get even venture capitalists calling us saying, where should we invest? Where are the good ones? Tell us and then we'll sort of buy them up. So they see the Commission projects as a quality label, say they went through a first stage of filtering. Again, we're back to the de-risking question. So if they have managed that, then it's easier for us to develop them further, higher TRL levels and so on. And okay, venture capitalists are important, but we also have the European Innovation Council, so the third pillar of Horizon Europe. And these people can invest in you. You get mentoring support. So for some of the schemes of pre-accelerators of the early stage ones, it's even relatively easy to get in. And there, because we said in the first round of discussion, what is missing here in the Western Balkans, it's you opening up to them, because their offers are there for you. And they have done the rest of the old Europe already, so they're open to you because they have exploited everything that is there. And the final comment while we are speaking, I think it's now this morning, the European Innovation Scoreboard will be published. Sorry, Kosovo is not in there. one of my tasks to sort that out as quickly as possible. But you can see all other countries in the region, to where they are, how they have developed over time. And some of them, a little bit further east of the region, have not been doing so well, and that raises also some questions to the government. So what we were discussing, hey, somebody was looking, gave you a grading, like Zoran, you mentioned all the European semester reports, so that is also for innovation. And then let's discuss, why are certain figures low? What do we need to do? Whom do we need to entice to move things? So yeah, I think we have the elements in place, and also a little bit from your side, not only from our side, but it's still more.
Thank you very much. So we are warming up the debate. Soon I will involve you. Just one more question to Mr. Rubén. Sometimes, in old times, information was so important. So you should know someone who knows someone that this information will come to you. So, but European Union, it's a very transparent organization. So everything is there. Everything is published. It's well organized. Everything is there. And sometimes too much is there. So how you can offer help to let's say beginners or people who are not yet familiar with this constellation of very complex systems, how you can help that you raise the, let's say, success rate of the local organizations when they are bidding in these channels.
It's a good question. I guess we agree that there's a lot of information, too many information, or complex information to navigate, to understand where is everything and what is the information I need. No? The fact of being a network with members in a lot of regions and countries in Europe, but not based mostly in capital cities or very innovative ecosystem, I guess makes the difference. We try to, well, we have different type of members in different types of regions, with different levels of innovation, no? Following the regional innovation scoreboard. So for us it is very important to promote the networking, promote activities, like for example very simple webinars called Best Practice Breakfast, when where one organization, one region explains the others how, for example, they are doing or how they have created a network of business angels, a regional network of business angels to work together with the business incubators and accelerators to accompany the startups, the companies that are being supported. How other regions have created open innovation programs, identifying 5-6 corporates every year in that region that defines challenges that could be solved through artificial intelligence, vision technology, by startups or by SMEs from the region. So this way the companies get access to the corporate contacts and start working in some cases to scale up their business. The networking, the learning from each other, it is essential. Coming back to the instruments, to the tools that are available from the European Union, there's a lot of, in some cases we are trying to identify, to reinvent the wheel or to identify new tools, new methodologies, but there are a lot of instruments already in place and we just need to be aware of them, to have information about how they can be used for us. There's one entire work program in Horizon Europe, the third pillar, European Innovation Ecosystems. And it pays a lot of attention to the connection between the so-called less innovative regions in Europe that within that European Regional Innovation Scoreboard have more things to improve and connect these regions with those that are more innovative. the idea is to make the less innovative ecosystem more attractive for the entrepreneurs to stay there and not going to other places to scale up their businesses, but also for the investors. There's a call open nowadays, closing on the 4th of October, that it's about making regional ecosystems that are less innovative more attractive to investors, making investors pay attention to Kosovo, to Asturias, which is my region, is a less innovative or a moderate innovator, for them to invest in companies here, not only focused on London, on Paris, or this type of markets. So there are a lot of tools, information, we agree there are a lot of information. So that is why it's so important to be advised by the European Union with info sessions, with national contact points as well, informing about how to apply, which are the opportunities, but also with intermediaries. In some cases, they can be chambers of commerce, they can be municipalities, they can be business incubators, regional development agencies. Because, as mentioned, there are lots of opportunities, and it's also about being aware of them and being ready to apply and to organize it.
Thank you very much. So before we go to the questions from the audience, I would like each of panelists to give a final message to the audience. Let's start this way, and we go this way. Final message, the challenge, whatever.
In a global context, we are in a digital age, and the digital economy, in my view, is no longer a term we should use. It's purely economy because everything is moving to digital. I believe that Western Balkans, which are considered as followers in a sense to the digital economy, are moving at a rapid pace. I think that, as the panelists also mentioned before me, one of the key challenges is to be able to maintain our people, especially people with formal education and experts who are in high demand everywhere else. It's a battle, it's a competition. It will not be easy to manage, but if we are able to work closely, the private sector also, and the government in cooperation with the EU and other organizations which support Kosovo, but also the Western Balkans, we will be able to prevent the brain drain, but at the same time have an economic development which is at the pace which is required in order for us to remain competitive and a place worth living in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agron, Bernhard.
It was tempting to be provocative. Don't ask us what we can do for you. Think what you can do, not for us, for all of us. And this is just to link with sort of Rubén just said. Okay, Asturias, Spain, agri-food, these are important things. Don't reinvent the wheel. Look what is there. Copy it, adapt it, make it better, link out. It's all there. You don't need to go to the moon to find the solution. And the other thing, what we did not really discuss all day long was vocational education training. We said that universities, PhDs, and rocket science and all, but you need enough warm bodies for Internet of Things, which is sort of the scaling up. And there we need to push the universities to sort of really make sure that there is a highly skilled workforce. And this is what we try to help you together.
Thank you very much. Rubén?
Okay. Innovation and digitalization doesn't happen in isolation. There's the machinery, there's the oil, and there's a lot of organizations or people that have expertise on one or the other sides. Contact with them, network, and create connections with the different actors of the ecosystems to benefit from these opportunities.
You belong in the European Union, and let's use ICT and digital as a vehicle which can bring us as close as possible, as fast as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was really, thank you. This is a very nice message. So now you have a great opportunity, a great panelist here. We have a question. So please, we have a microphone here.
I can shout, I'm used to it.
Okay, please introduce yourself and
Stančič, Euro HPC Competence Center in Skopje, North Macedonia. Thank you, Mr. Stančič, for the good information about the finalizing the accession of our countries to the Digital Europe program. It's very important for our HPC centers. But my question goes to a different aspect of the Digital Europe program. I know that there is a small footnote there that says that for the cyber security, and we heard a lot about yesterday about the cyber attacks happening in the region, there is a small footnote that there will be additional requirements or some special conditions. Are there any special conditions that apply for the region of the Western Balkan? Thank you.
So thank you very much for this question. Now, Digital Europe program has 5 strategic objectives. One of those 5 strategic objectives is cybersecurity. Because of the security requirements, this strategic objective will not be open for associated countries. So associated countries will be able to participate in all remaining 4 strategic objectives. Now, if you look at the work program, there are some specific topics which require specific additional security requirements. Now, for example, if you want to be part of SO1 or SO2, there are specific issues which require that participants come from the country, which is, for example, applying GDPR. So we will be asking the countries if they have specific solutions in order to address this issue. If the answer will be yes and explanation, then there will be no problems. If the country will not be able to provide us with this kind of assurances, then they will not be able to participate. So this is the whole picture.
We have a second question there.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm Bernhard Fabianek from Swiss Embassy, Swiss Corporation Office. I have a question for Agron, I think. If we can go just a bit above digitalization, digitalization can contribute to that, but what are the policies of your bank about sustainable green financing? If you can just briefly explain on this, what is the future plans of Raiffeisen? Thanks.
Green ESG, green financing is a very important aspect of Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo, but also our parent company, Raiffeisen Bank International. We have already started and we are committed to the green principles of EU. We are at the stage where we are also started to finance companies, mainly micro businesses and SMEs, who, in cooperation with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, who are gaining grants if they are ESG compliant. And at the same time, the bank already has created a department within the organization who is responsible for sustainability in all aspects, including social and governance. So it's a very important strategic pillar in moving forward, and we believe that, at least in the local context, it may take a bit of more time than normally in the more developed countries, but we are pioneers in this direction as a bank, and we want to support the country in moving forward with the agenda. Hope this answers your question.
Thank you very much. Agron, any other questions? We still have some time. Yeah?
Hi. I don't know if this is a question, this is more like a comment. I represent a small software company in Chicago. I'm originally from Kosovo, born and raised there. We have a lot of developers here in Ukraine. We call it insourcing, not outsourcing. Now, what we do lack is you all spoke a lot about PhDs, high-level labor market. We mostly lack technical skills, not PhD level. Basically, my company, we train our own developers. Let's say, for example, we need a Google Cloud platform expert. We fund that ourselves, we train it ourselves. And the problem we run into is that these developers that we spend a lot of time and resources end up leaving us after a while. So what does the European Commission or the bank have any programs that will train these developers for specific skills that you can learn in 6 months or less? So that would be a great advantage for us to come and hire more people here. What we lack is just specific technical skills, not the PhD level. Thank you.
Bernhard?
Yeah, we've spoken about many things, and sorry, one very, very important thing. But smart specialization strategies, very common in the European regions, actually, not even on the country level. Here it's mostly done on the country level, but they are not yet finished yet. Serbia and Montenegro have done, the rest of the countries hopefully end of this year, early next year have. This is a prioritization exercise for research and innovation in the country, and as far as we understand, ICT is always one of these 3, 4, maximum 5 priorities. And we are, for example, talking with European Training Foundation exactly for this sort of this skilled workforce, because once this is a national priority, different ministries, not only the one for education, have to work together to bring this alive. And we see, especially in Montenegro, where 4 or 5 ministries pool even money to make that happen. There, for example, tourism sector, health tourism. So what you need, again, skills, okay, it's not programmers, different there, how sort of different ministries, not only the tourism ministry, but also research, but also economic development and so on, can work together to have that skilled workforce. So yeah, that's coming. But bear with us, let's say a year or 12 months.
Thank you. Last question. We have a gentleman on the back. Do you have a mic? Yeah.
Thanks. Dimitar coming from Skopje, from the ICT sector. You mentioned that research is one of the, let's say, one of the components in the landscape, and the ICT as a community, as a business, is another one, and they need to cooperate. Exactly, and we want to cooperate further in research to be applied to the business aspects, etc. But what would you recommend in order to have a better cooperation and collaboration between those two parties, between the research institutes and the ICT as a business sector? Thank you. Any short recommendation how to improve that one and how to stimulate more better results?
Thank you. Do we have a volunteer? Okay.
Go and talk to Innovate, because they are doing this already in Skopje very well. Okay, it's more on electronics, less on ICT, but there are places that can do that, so good guys there. But yes, back to my previous response, this smart specialization process is still ongoing in North Macedonia as well. This is where sort of you bring them, at least from the policy side, but the development of the smart specialization is done with the stakeholders, also with the businesses, also with the universities. So it should be a national set of priorities, and therefore helping you also to bring this together. I know it's a bit tricky if you have a professor that then works also for a company like PhD, and he has already his state salary. Why is he sort of getting additional money? Is this cheating? Academy of Science is doing only Nobel Prizes and not really developing the skills that we just have heard before there. So there is a transition process ongoing in the sector, and we are really pushing for what we call academia business cooperation. This is one of the sort of dialogues that we have with the countries in the region. In these gradings that Zoran was mentioning, this is always one recommendation from us: work on that, because this is quickly pushing out ideas that are in the academic domain, that are maybe not even relevant for the academic domain because they want to work on their Nobel Prize, but they have a knowledge that the businesses can use. And then also the way back, we talked about infrastructures, sort of if the university have an electron microscope that an SME will never buy because they just needed to solve one little problem, well, in your case an HPC machine, you maybe have just a cluster, but you need for certain simulation a high-end equipment that you can access it. And what are the terms and conditions? Because this is then distorting the market, because these are publicly financed machines, and you as a commercial entity getting access to them. So 20% roughly is tolerable. So these kind of things, a bit of legal rat's tail that needs to be resolved, but it has been, and it's really one of the things that we think will have a quick impact, especially now on the economy.
Thank you very much, Bernhard. Zoran?
I'll try to be very brief, because this question is actually a theme for another 2-hour discussion, you know. But you know, there is no specificity in this respect for your country compared to a number of other EU member states, you know. So I think, you know, it goes from values, meaning am I ready, how am I treated in a society if I fail in the business, you know, up to these ecosystems through the financing. So it's a whole, if you want, range of different issues which need to be addressed. But there are no, really, as far as I'm aware, there are no specificities for your country compared to the other countries, you know. So I think it's important that we bring different stakeholders together, and that the system is made in such a way that it stimulates them and rewards them if they work together, you know. This answer is comprised out of a number of small actions which need to be done by the government, by the private sector, by the banks, financing, by intermediaries. So it's a very complex issue, but you know, it's the same problem throughout European Union, you know. So.
Thank you, Zoran. Maybe I can add 5 cents. I'm an SME, high-tech SME as well. So, yeah, you have to be aware that most of the system in Europe, most of the academic researchers are awarded by the number of scientific papers they publish, most of it. So they're a little bit awarded by cooperation with industry. So you have to do your job, make the personal, let's say, contacts, invite them for cevapcici, beer, whatever, you know, and then, of course, you get the trust, you get the contact, and they see the benefits of this cooperation as well, because we can bring to academia lots of challenges for their papers as well. So what we are doing at Arctur, we take care of IPR technology and late TRL, you know, launch to the market, and we leave to academia papers, scientific papers, and both sides are happy. And this cooperation lasts with numbers of European universities, not just Slovenian universities, for years now. So, yeah, we can talk. So this was the last question. Thank you very much. Please, great applause to the panelists. And now grab the opportunity, and you have some minutes of private consulting, free of charge. Kidding. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
my first time.